So my recommendation this week is for a book. It's a book I read many, many, many years ago. It was my birthday during the week, and my daughter came to visit, and we had a little bit of a Indiana Jones marathon. She hadn't seen them in years, and neither had I really. And as I was watching it, I was remembering somebody I used to work with who was actually a salesman for office equipment, right? But he was so taken with Indiana Jones. He used to wear a hat like Indiana Jones, and he had a leather flying jacket, which he used to wear on sales call, much to the chagrin of his boss. But he was the guy who recommended this book to me, and the book is called Illusions, and then the subtitle is The Adventures of a Reluctant Messiah, and it's by Richard Bach, who wrote Jonathan Livingston Seagull, which was a big kind of deal in the early 70s. This book was written in 1977. And I can remember this guy saying to me, I don't know how we got talking about it, but he was saying that down the track that, he'd like to, one of the things he'd like to do is become a reluctant messiah. And I was like, oh, okay. But it's a great little book. I always think very fondly of him when I think about that book and him wearing his little hat. And he was learning to fly and everything because the character in this book is a pilot. It's a very interesting book, and there's a lot of deep. I don't know if they're truths, but they do sing. There's something about the things that they talk about in this that made my heart sing, and kind of, when you read something, and even though it's not. You can't prove it. Like, this guy was a reluctant messiah, so he could do all sorts of cool tricks, Like, they both flew these old biplanes. They gave people rides in the biplanes. And his plane never had any oil smudges on it, and never had any bugs or anything like that. And he never had to service it. And he could always land in the weirdest kind of places. It's almost like he made the plane levitate. That's just one of the many tricks he did. And somewhere... I just kind of, it's like this sense of like, yeah, that's possible. I don't know how it's possible, but it's possible. So there's lots of good stuff in it about enlightenment, even though it's not mentioned explicitly, and just about a way of being that is possible. So I recommend it, highly recommend it. One of the books I read very early on. I would have read it back in the early 80s.